Hello friends and welcome. I'm Sarah Liz and I'm excited to be joining the Cat Scrappiness Crafty Quokka YouTube hop. Look at this stamp set. It's so cute. Off camera, I stamped and colored our Crafty Quokka girl and then a whole bunch of her like punches and scissors and all the fun things she's playing with. And then I cut that out with the coordinating die set. I'm also going to use the Everyday Brush Strokes stamp set. It's an excellent like all-purpose stamp set. Along with the A2 reverse scallop, I've picked just the biggest one there. And then I am using the Cat Scrappiness uppercase condensed alphas to create this HBD. I'm going to do a birthday card for my niece. I'm also pulling in paper from the Crafty Quokka's paper pack. These are my happy colors. Like this is my jam. All right. And so I'm going to pull out this sort of, it's not really polka dot. It's like a tone-on-tone speckled pattern. I love it. And then this rainbow stripe that is absolutely amazing. My niece is my crafting buddy. Every time I see her, she asks when we get to craft together again and make cards together. So I'm trying to make this bright and cheerful. I'm also going to end up pulling in from that purple glitter paper pad. I thought I was going to use the blue one too, but I didn't end up. Those are both new in this release. So all of the Crafty Quokka stuff, the stamps, the dies, the paper, and then those two glitter pads are new in this release. So I am starting with an A2 card base and I've just cut that blue tone-on-tone paper down to be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So we'll end up adding that to our card base. And then I'm going to cut my letters out of this rainbow paper. And I'm being kind of careful as I set them down. I'm trying to space them the way I think they will be on my card. I don't know if it matters. Honestly, that might have been extra work I didn't need to do, but just in case the effect was really cool, I went for it. So now I'm laying out my HBD and then I'm going to have my little critter in the corner. I know I want to make a shaker. And I was like, do I have enough room to use that A2 scallop frame? And I think I do. But I also thought I needed a little bit of something to help the happy birthday letters pop off of that blue cardstock. So I'm pulling in, this is the darkest purple from that pad and it's got varying shades of purple. It's not glitter, okay? And it just looks like glitter, but it's regular cardstock. It's so clever and I think it works beautifully for a card like this. Sometimes my real glitter cardstock doesn't die cut very well. Like it started as non-shed, but then by the time I die cut it, I've got all kinds of pieces kind of shedding and falling off of it. So this worked really well. Because it's cardstock, but I wanted it to be extra sturdy because we're going to make a shaker. I did layer an extra piece of heavyweight white cardstock behind that frame. And now I'm just going to check my placement again, right? I'm going to use the dark purple as a drop shadow. And then I'm going to layer that up behind my rainbow letters. To create even extra dimension and to emphasize that drop shadow, I am layering each of the letters up with some heavyweight white cardstock. So I cut each letter out essentially 4 times, once from rainbow paper, once from purple glitter paper, and twice from heavyweight white cardstock. Okay, so now I am just going to add my rainbow H to the purple H, and the purple one is sort of down and to the left. Okay, it just creates a little bit of contrast, greater contrast between that blue paper in the background and our rainbow letters, and it makes it a little fancier. So I want to tell you about the hop. This is a hashtag driven hop. So you can click on the hashtag in the title and it will take you to all the other videos in the hop. If that's not working for you, I will also individually list all of the other makers who are in this hop. There's a really great team working on this, and there's a giveaway. We are giving away the stamp set, the coordinating dies, and that Crafty Quokka paper. You guys, it's so cute and the colors are so phenomenal. To enter the hop, we are asking you to sign up for the Cat Scrappiness newsletter and then fill out the raffle copter form. And so those are also linked in the description box below the video. Please hop along and check out all of the different makers. We would love it if you subscribe to the channels. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you like most from their cards or from this release. It's so cute. It's so stinking cute. And there are so many sentiments that can go along with this. We're going to do a happy birthday, but then we're going to add a stamp sentiment on the inside as well. And I love this card. I love how this turns out. I know my niece is going to love it too. So I am adding some wet glue in a very thin layer to the back of my purple frame, and I'm going to lay that right into the corner of some acetate. I've had these forever. I'm a teacher, and these are transparency sheets that nobody uses anymore. So I use them for shakers. And I find it easier to lay that on there and then just to trim along the edges. And I'm sort of angling my scissors so they go slightly underneath that frame because I don't want any of it kind of sticking out and catching the light and distracting from the card we're about to make. I have some 1/8 inch foam strips that I am laying right along the edges, and I'm being really careful. I think the most challenging part was to keep the backer paper on the top, because I'm also going to try to add a little bit of anti-static powder on the inside to make sure my shaker bits don't get stuck to my foam tape. Okay, so I'm just trimming off to make sure that fits pretty well. All my bits are largish, so I'm not super worried about a perfect fit. And then this is the Cat Scrappiness embossing tool. I've had one like it before, but I'll tell you what, it leaks. There's powder everywhere. This one is perfect. It's giving me just the right amount of a little bit of anti-static powder, either for my embossing, which works beautifully, or in this case, to take the sticky off the edges of my foam tape. Okay, so this is how everything's going to line up. And then these are the majority of my shaker bits. There are so many different images in this stamp set, but I picked 4, and then I layered them up with 2 extra layers of heavyweight white cardstock. So I have a glue bottle and scissors, and then 2 different styles of punches that I'm laying in here. But you guys, there's also some like Copic looking markers and washi tape and a bone folder. I mean, they're so cute, and these came together really quickly. I also wanted a little shine in there. So this is the white AB solid confetti mix. And when I'm laying them in there, I'm making sure they're in between those colored images, especially for when I put the top on my shaker. That way they're not getting wedged in there, and then I'm having to shake it really hard just to get things loose. Once I have what looks like the perfect amount of shaker bits, I'll just stick those in my little funnel tray. This is also from Cat Scrappiness, and that really helps me to get them back in the baggie where I store them all. So now I am just removing that release paper from the top of my shaker, and I'm going to add a little bit of wet glue, just a tiny thin amount, but it gives me a touch of float time. So it wiggles, but then as soon as you press it down, the adhesive on there grabs and it's not going anywhere. That way I can make sure I get this centered on my card, because there isn't a lot of border around the edge. You can see that it's like 1/8 of an inch border on each of those sides, right? So I'm wiggling slightly to the right because I didn't get it perfect the first time. I never do. And look at that. I might remake this card actually with fewer things on the front, because I'm just in love with those shaker bits. To add my HBD, I am adding just the thinnest little bit of wet glue around the edges. I love how easy these alpha dies are to work with, because they're all exactly the same height. They're flat on the bottom. I don't have to worry too much about like lining this up on my grid mat and transferring it over to my card. They are phenomenal. There's an uppercase and there's a lowercase, and then there's a number set, and I have them all. I have them all. I just love them. And then I'll use some wet glue to add my Crafty Quokka girl. Like, she reminds me of my niece. I just feel like I like her vibe. I think I want to craft with her. So next we're going to work on the inside of our card, so I can leave a nice little sentiment there and use up some of the extra pieces that I colored. This is the Everyday Brushstrokes stamp set, and I'm going to start with this largest brushstroke, and I'm putting it just above center. I couldn't figure out why it wasn't sticking to the door of my Misty. It's because the cover sheet for my sticky mat was in the way. Oh, you guys, I was having a day. It is a fairly large image, and I hadn't used this one before, so I'm just using my fingers and rubbing along it to sort of condition the stamp, and then I'm going to stamp it twice. I prefer to start with a pale ink, and then I can make it darker. And then this sentiment says, "You make the world a beautiful place," and I thought that went really, really well with the crafty theme of our card. So again, I'll rub my fingers along that stamp, and I'm going to stamp it down in some black ink. And then the ink I'm using doesn't dry right away. So off camera, I will heat set that before we go decorating the rest of it. These pieces, I did not stack up. This is just a single layer of cardstock, and I didn't want to save them for another project. I wanted to fit as many as I could on this card. So the scissors and the glue I already have sort of in the shaker, but those are my favorite crafting tools. And then there's this stack of washi tape that is the cutest thing. And I'm just making like a little collage right around our sentiment. And then down in the bottom right-hand corner, there are 2 markers that kind of look like Copic markers. There's also in this stamp set like a box of markers that looks like Copic markers. There's so much in here that I think is just perfect. And that finishes up our card. Everything shakes really, really well in there. We've got this colorful, bright inside. I hope you like this card. Please be sure to hop along, click on the hashtag or on the links for all of the videos below. I appreciate you spending this time with me, and I will see you next time.